even learning it in the first place? Have you ever just stopped for a second and thought what you would look like if you had reached your full potential? Hi, my name is Sabir, and today I'm going to walk you through a magical journey of why knowledge, the understanding of information, is not equal to consciousness, a term used to describe heightened awareness and critical thinking skills. In today's society, knowledge is the basis and foundation for everything. I mean everything. Without it, you cannot create, learn, or experience this reality properly. But notice how I said basis, which means that knowledge is the minimum and rock bottom of our world today. Knowledge is something that is accessible by absolutely everyone, as we all sit in the same classrooms, lecture halls, and offices learning the same information. Unfortunately, what happens to most of the information we consume is that we don't find any direct use for it whatsoever, and we just quite literally just dump it out the backyard. But this is where consciousness comes in. I define it as the progressive realization of conscious mastery over our own mind. Consciousness in this case is the ability to be aware of absolutely everything that's happening around you, and it is to be able to be making careful, deliberate, and intelligent decisions for our futures. And finally, it is the ability to understand our own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors to utilize to your advantage to reach your full potential, as I said at the start of this speech. Unfortunately, however, most people never reach peak levels of consciousness during their lives. This is why most people end up unhappy, dissatisfied with their job, and end up with a ton of regrets at the end of their life. But what about the people that do reach high levels of consciousness? Where are they, if they exist even in our present moment? Well, actually, these people are known to us by some of the most successful, famous, and rich people of the world. Some of your idols and superheroes to speak of. So why can't most people reach high levels of consciousness? And what's the difference between them and the people that do? Unfortunately, the answer is quite frightening. It actually starts when we are all young children entering the school system, which we all have to go through, right? During our time in the school system, we are taught to just absorb information like a sponge, because it's apparently essential to our future. While a lot of information we learn in school is crucial for life, we no longer learn why something is actually important and how it became to be. Something that I hear literally every student complain about these days, don't you? Over time, we slowly develop the self-destructive habit of not questioning anything, and we no longer look at things for what they are, but rather for what we're told they are. We slowly start to lose our problem-solving skills, as there are apparently no problems left to solve in the world these days. What we get told is apparently everything is figured out and no need to question anything further, because mate, look, it's right there on the textbook, don't question it, just move on, revise for the test, and you're done. This actually ties in with the next cause of lower consciousness, the inability to be aware of what we consume / allowed to enter our bodies both mentally and physically. Let me ask you something. Have you ever sat down at your desk today and said to yourself, today I'm going to absolutely grind it out. I mean, I'm going to complete every single task. It's the Sigma male grind set for me. Only to find yourself scrolling through TikTok for the next half an hour without you even noticing the time go by like this. Well, actually, this is because social media, which includes all those little apps on your phone, all of them, the gadgets, your news, newspapers, and outside information that can be accessed through a device, in general, has been specifically designed to fry your mind. Yet, no exaggeration there. Social media has the power to literally tell us what our reality is, instead of us being able to make our own judgments. Because after all, we are all humans with a brain, right? For example, back in lockdown last year and in the one in 2020, there were thousands of news reports about the devastation of COVID, death tolls, collapse of economies, and videos of people on their deathbeds, which were all unescapable, because it was everywhere, right? I mean, you just turn on the TV and there, the Premier announcing 300 new cases for the day. Well, let me ask you something that might actually increase your consciousness right now, if you have a really hard think about it. How many positive and optimistic news reports did you hear about those lockdowns? How many reports did you see about people from all around the world teaming up to fight this virus, telling people to stay and hold true to their faith? How many times did you see survivors of COVID on the news being grateful that they just simply got to live another day? Something that not everyone can do, unfortunately. Because for me, the answer was a whopping zero. And I mean absolutely zero. I didn't see anything positive at all. Yet here we are all gathered today, happy, healthy, and alive. It's weird how social media plays with our minds, right? You see, a key component of consciousness is the ability to stay calm, optimistic, and intentional regardless of what's happening all around us. I mean, the entire world in general. But by even consuming these types of media, and when I mean consume, I mean literally just turn on your TV is a type of consumption, your perception of reality literally gets bended to a point where you no longer need to use your critical thinking skills and you just accept the fake reality in which you are presented in. But now that I've talked about how consciousness is both gained and lost, let's talk about the different benefits that it has from knowledge. Traditional education teaches us basic skills and basic knowledge, right? But little does it show us how to develop our own conscious minds. We aren't taught how to intelligently make the biggest decisions of our lives, how to cultivate an absolute burning desire for what we want in life, how to concentrate, and so on. But what are the benefits of higher consciousness exactly? Well, the main ones include increased self-awareness, self-mastery, and enhanced mental clarity. Self-awareness will lead you to being able to see yourself more objectively in general. You become aware of your own strengths and weaknesses. Becoming aware of your own blind spots all around you is very important for your personal growth, something that is specifically important here in a selective school such as Sydney Boys High School. Secondly, emotional mastery is, in my opinion, the most important one for a teenager, so you all listen up. First, you gain a deeper understanding of your emotional constitution. You begin to clearly understand why you feel the way you do, something that most teenagers these days don't experience. Second, you develop the ability to actually control your emotional state. With practice, you can learn how to maintain a positive emotional state, regardless of external circumstances and what's happening in the world. Your life will be an expression of joy instead of the pursuit of it, endlessly chasing it, not finding it. Lastly, by being more conscious of your thoughts, actions, and behaviors, you can create mental clarity and just a feeling of inner peace in general. By knowing where you want to go in life and having control of your own reality, something that most people these days do not, the storm in your brain starts to clear, leaving you with a beautiful waterfall of thoughts and actions which you actually desire, which is the goal, right? Now that you know the benefits, let me summarize to you the 3 things that you need to do to reach higher levels of consciousness. The first is to awaken yourself. Become more aware of what's going inside you, inside others, and the world around you. The second is to live mindfully by consciously paying attention to your thoughts and feelings and not letting them control you, but you being able to control them. The third is to set intentions and act consciously, spending every second of your life intentionally, because next to consciousness, time is the most valuable asset that a man has. Unfortunately, however, it's not as easy as people think it is. As higher powers of society, including the school systems, governments, and news outlets, as we've just discussed, don't like people who think for themselves and speak out. A recent example came into my mind straight away, which includes internet personality Amaury Andrew Tate. Tate has been recently banned from all social media platforms by big media companies for quote-unquote having extremely controversial opinions. However, I know that this is not the real reason for why he was censored. People like him have been speaking up against all forms of lowering consciousness in the modern human race today. And for speaking the truth, which is also true, as we previously discussed in this speech. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it will be survival of the fittest, or perhaps the survival of the most conscious. But that leaves me to the most important question that I can ask you today, and the most important one that you ever may get asked in your entire life. Will you just be an ordinary person that just endlessly consumes knowledge and literally just dumps it out the second that you have no direct use for it in your lives? Or will you become a part of the most conscious, a small group of humans that unlocks their full potential with no limits whatsoever? Thank you.
Thank you, Sabina, for that insightful speech. For our last performance today, we have a speech by Eric Scholten.